How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. It's Professor Anime. Welcome back to another video. In this video today, guys, I am here to bring you all my review of Kabaneri the Iron Fortress, episode 10. So let's get this started. So this episode of Kabaneri the Iron Fortress, wow. I don't know what to say about this episode, to be honest with you. I mean, it was a pretty good episode, it was. But just the conclusion that we got at the end of this episode is just what's gonna happen next? So we open up with this episode having everybody who was previously on the Kotetsujo marked now, because Biba's group has completely taken control over the Kotetsujo, and we have them all marked up and spread out into different groups on the train, and they are living in really bad conditions. I mean, some of Biba's members are just completely chopping off people's arms for no given reason, you know. If they say one thing back to one of the guards, they will punish them severely. And speaking of Ikuma, Ikuma can't even do anything about this because he is literally living as an animal. He is in a cage. I mean, there was this one character who seemed like he would... there was this one character who was apparently on Ikuma's and Mumei's group. We have this one character who was previously on the Kotetsujo with Mumei, Ikuma, and everybody else. You know, we see that he has now reverted on over to Biba's side, and we're like, what the fuck is going on here, you know? Because he's dressed up as a guard and is pretty much, you know, against everybody else who was previously on the Kotetsujo, and we're like, yo, what's going on here? But then we see that Ikuma and the rest of the people on the group who were previously on the Kotetsujo before it got overrun, we get to see that they devise a plan to revolt against Biba's groups who have took over the Kotetsujo, and we see that that one individual who was playing out as a guard was in fact playing out as a guard. He was just doing this for the fact to make the plan, you know, go into fruition, because without his help they wouldn't be able to accomplish this. So everything was just an act, and that's what was pretty cool. We see the strategy that goes in with Ikuma and everybody else working together to get out of the train. However, while they do succeed in the revolt, by the time that Ikuma ends up meeting Biba is when things start to go downhill from there. But before that, we actually got to talk about Mumei for a second. So when it comes to Mumei in this episode, there were several instances in which I thought that Mumei was going to side with her brother yet again. And to be honest with you, I'm happy that she did not, you know, because there were several instances in which I literally thought that she was going to side with Biba, and when Biba ended up telling her that, you know, I want you to take care of the revolt that is currently going on the train, it looked like for a minute that she was about to do what Biba told her to do. But she finally said, no, I am not going to do that. I want to remain true to my original friends. And that is where things go downhill for Mumei. Alright, now comes the climax of this episode. So we have it to where Ikuma and Takumi, which is Ikuma's best friend, we have them arrive in the same cart in which Biba and the rest of his soldiers are located at. Now, they are ready to take down Biba and the rest of his group and take back the Kotetsujo and rightfully claim what is theirs. However, Biba ends up firing off a shot, or one of his soldiers ends up firing off a shot to Ikuma, and we have it to where Takumi ends up taking the bullet for Ikuma. Now, it is presumed that Takumi is dead at this point because he has a huge hole in his stomach, he is bleeding everywhere, he's bleeding out, and things do not look good for him. We see that Ikuma is crying over his body, and he tries to muster up the courage in order to fight back, but this is where things get really bad, because now, you know, as he is trying to get up and fight after seeing, you know, what is presumed to be his dead friend's body, you know, he tries to get up and fight, and he's being kicked around, punched around, and then his whole fucking arm gets blown off, And then we have it to where we see Mume, who is now on the side of Biba, not on her own free will. Apparently she has been tranquilized and now she is acting as a mindless zombie for Biba's group, you know, using her own will against her. And we see that she ends up stabbing, and of course this is where we see Ikuma fall off the train and into the river. Now, the possibilities are endless as to how many theories are going to be sprung about as to what is going to happen in the next episode of Kabaneri, but I'm going to just give you all my theories. So, the dagger that Mume ended up using was a Kabaneri counterattack sort of dagger, okay? So, this dagger has been crafted in specifically to take down Kabaneri. And if she ended up plunging this into Ikuma, this could really end up hurting like him in general. I mean, of course, he has been stabbed, but the dagger was specifically made in order to take down Kabaneri, and he is a Kabaneri. So, what sort of effect this is going to have Ikuma, I am not really sure. Now, do I believe that Ikuma is dead? I don't really think he is dead. I just think that he is on the verge of death, because if he, you know, were dead, you know, this would be like killing off, you know, the entire series of Kabaneri and the Iron Fortress, to be quite honest with you. I mean, main characters do in fact die in series, but I just don't see why exactly they would end up killing off, you know, Ikuma. So, I mean, if anything, I would expect him to actually die in the final episode of Kabaneri, the Iron Fortress, but that is just me. So, as of right now, I do not think that Ikuma is, in fact, dead. Now, one theory regarding Ikuma is that, you know, if he in fact is on the verge of death, the only way how I can personally see him survive this is actually if he takes complete control of his Kabaneri side. However, if he has his Kabaneri side end up, you know, taking over him, you know, would he actually be able to, you know, retain some of his memories? I mean, we see the other Kabaneri as, you know, mindless zombies. There are other intelligent sort of Kabaneri that, you know, like the Watazori, for example, I believe that's their name or whatever. You know, they have some form of intelligence from their past experiences in battle, and I wonder if Ikuma would end up turning out like that. Or would he end up becoming something like, you know, that one girl who was working with Biba, for example, who ended up turning into a Kabaneri, and she was going all out. She was taking down his soldiers, but once she saw Biba, you know, she regained some form of her memories because she knew who that was and retained some form of her sanity. You know, would something end up happening like that with Ikuma? Would he, like, become full-on Kabaneri, and would he be able to track down, you know, Biba and take down him by him just being a complete Kabaneri? But if that were to happen, you know, he could put everybody on the train, you know, all their lives at risk. Would he actually be able to remember who his friends are and, you know, the previous people who he has been with throughout this entire series? Like, I don't know. When it comes to, like, Ikuma, I really don't know, like, how exactly he can get out of this one. Now, when it comes to Takumi, I don't really know what's going on with him. He is sprawled out all over the floor, completely bleeding out, and it seems like he is pretty much dead. However, he could be on the verge of death, and, I mean, we did get to see that he was pretty much, you know, trying to grasp a hold of that green shard. As to what that green shard could possibly be, I don't really know. All I know is that Ikuma ended up dropping it, but I don't know the significance behind the green shard. I mean, for all we know, it could be some stupid plot device in which it completely revives Takumi or some crap like that. I don't know. We'll just have to wait in, you know, the coming episodes of Kabaneri the Iron Fortress. But the only way as to how I can see Takumi end up surviving this, if he in fact, you know, is alive, is that he is going to be currently being experimented on by Biba, you know, to make another Kabaneri, and this would be to fight back Ikuma if Ikuma were to survive, and then we would have like a clash between two best friends, you know, Kabaneri against Kabaneri, go all out. So that would be very interesting to see in terms of like the play of events that are going to play out. And when it comes to Mume, you know, so far she's like a mindless zombie that is being used for Biba, and I don't know what's going to happen with her. I don't know when exactly she's going to break out of the current state that she is in. So things do not look good for, you know, the previous people on the Kotetsujo. They have lost a Kabaneri at the moment. They have lost, you know, whatever sort of role Takumi ended up playing at, and also they have, you know, they also have another Kabaneri that used to be on their side, now on Biba's side. So things do not look good for, you know, the people who were previously on the Kotetsujo, and Biba. Dude is crazy. Let me know what you thought about this episode of Kabaneri the Iron Fortress in the comments down below, and if you like this video, don't forget to drop a like. It always helps out the channel, and if you want to stick up to date to my future content on this channel, please hit that red subscribe button below, and you'll never miss a video from me. That about does it for this video, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.